It's that kind of leadership that we require now in New York. We don't need a recycled politician. We have enough of them. It's because of these recycled politicians who basically selfless service, honor, and dignity. They've tossed that to the side. It's because of them that New York State is in the constraints and the problems that we have right now. You need an individual in office today who isn't necessarily concerned about maybe what he says, what he wears. I know that's the way I am. What you have to do is say what's in your heart and what's right. I see that in Carl Paladino. To be frank, sir, I think I would have had a few more, something a little bit more interesting to say to that individual who was peering through your daughter's window, and they wouldn't have been pretty. What I'm trying to do at this stage is express to you the importance and the values that I feel, that I see in Carl Paladino. A fiscal conservative, somebody who will stand up for the values that I feel. Now, there are certain people out there, I'm a veteran, I don't need to wear a flag or make a big poster out of it, but I'm personally offended as a veteran when any individual demeans the service of somebody else who's worn the uniform. It is outrageous. Now, your opponent has done that. Now, first off, I'm not part of the campaign, and this is coming from me individually. Steve Labate is incredibly offended by that, as many other veterans are. Right. I think that your opponent needs to answer for these attacks. I think he has to realize that as somebody who's actually worn the service, actually a very good friend of mine, he put it very clearly. A veteran is somebody who at one point in his life wrote a check to the U.S. government, payable right up to his life. Whether you were on active duty, served in combat service, or you were stateside, or a reservist like myself, we all wrote that check. We all did. And for anybody to ever demean that service, I'm personally, and I know I'm repeating myself, I'm offended, and Mr. Cuomo needs to answer for that. Yes. I promised my wife I wouldn't be very wordy. I tend to be. But what I want to do is, first off, again, it is my distinct honor to introduce you to the next governor of New York State, Carl. This is very humbling. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I met this guy early on in the campaign. He's one of those guys that when you sit with him for about 5 minutes, you feel that bond.
Or you just like him.
I could tell after about 5 minutes of conversation, but I could trust him to keep an eye on my kids. And I think everybody in this room feels the same way about him. He's a stand-up man, of character and integrity. Went out and did his thing for his country. And while he was running, I was telling people that it would only be probably a year before he would have been the whip of the Senate. But he's got a long future ahead of him, and he's going to be representing us.
He's going to be representing us in some forum. He's going to do one hell of a job.
2012.